I mean, you actually wrote an article about how the U.S. government
Yes.
should hold the Chinese government
Yeah.
responsible
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
its role in the coronavirus pandemic
Yeah.
worsening. But you wrote in your article that research released by the University of Southampton by Dr. Shenji Lai found that if China had acted on December 30th, 2019, when A Fen, a top director at Wuhan Central Hospital, and Wuhan Dr. Li Wenliang posted information about a SARS-like virus on platforms such as WeChat, the cases of coronavirus could have been reduced by 95%. And then the Chinese government instead reprimanded them for spreading misinformation about what turned out to be the novel coronavirus. And you continue on to say that if the Chinese government had acted on January 7th of 2020, when President Xi Jinping became involved in the response, Lai's study found that the incidence of coronavirus would have been reduced by 85%. And then finally, by January 13th, if they had acted by then, when it was detected in Thailand, China could have reduced that number of cases by 66%. So knowing that study, how integral is the Chinese government in all of this?
They were completely negligent. They were completely negligent in their handling of the situation. China, not only did they lie about it, and try to cover it up by arresting doctors and journalists. Now,
Mhm.
we saw with Fan Bing in China that when that their death count number, China was reporting their death count number, and Fan Bing went and took a video of all the people that were dying and said, "Look, these numbers aren't adding up.
Right.
I see more deaths here." And now, even today, we just found out that the U.S. intelligence now believes, without a shadow of a doubt, that China's lying about their death count. But the bottom line is, China lied and people died. So China is probably more responsible for the deaths and economic hardship caused by this virus than the virus itself. Because if China had acted when they should have acted, when doctors Ifan and Li Wenliang came out and said, "We've got a real problem." And might I add, Li Wenliang who's a 33-year-old doctor, has passed away from this virus.
Yeah, he was one of the first people to
One of
die
the
from this
first people that
coronavirus.
died from this virus. Yeah, and so it's really sad that a 33-year-old doctor died trying to save people's lives, and he was condemned for it. He was reprimanded by the Chinese government. He was threatened with jail time for it. And so, you see, and then China has also, you see incidents where people just disappear out of the blue, like Fan Bing, the journalist who said these death count numbers aren't something's not lining up here.
Yeah.
So now the real question is, China, how responsible is China? China is almost entirely responsible, because 95%, Haraj, 95%. If we had if China had acted right away, we could have almost entirely eliminated this epidemic, which is it's really crazy to me.
So on top of the Chinese government reprimanding Dr. Li and him ultimately passing and then making this Chinese journalist disappear, how exactly did the Chinese government engage in this cover-up?
Yeah, so on January 14th, the World Health Organization tweeted out that this virus couldn't be contracted person to person, and they got that information from the Chinese government and the Chinese doctors. So,
And these were the Chinese doctors that were pretty much in on it.
yeah,
Or they didn't have a choice. They were coerced.
Or Chinese
Okay.
officials who were supervising the doctors. And so, they told the rest of the world, this can't be contracted person to person, and we now know that's a load of nonsense.
Yeah, BS, yeah.
Yeah, because it clearly can be contracted person to person. So they were lying to the world about it. They all, I believe, because they wanted to protect their Lunar New Year banquet in Wuhan on January 18th, that brought thousands of people to Wuhan.
Right.
And then it was used to spread outside of Wuhan from that banquet. And let's not forget that this virus has spread to the coastal cities too, spread to the coastal cities too, because the way the virus came to America was through cruise ships. And cruise ships don't go to inland China in Wuhan.
Right.
They only go to the coastal cities. So this virus had, by, I don't know, when the U.S. by the time that it had come to the U.S., it had already spread all throughout China, and those death count numbers are insanely low and it makes sense that China's been lying about their death count and incidence rate numbers.